Hey, welcome in. I'm Rita, and this is The Story I'm Telling Myself, a podcast about uncovering the beliefs that hold us back and rewriting them with truth, courage, and clarity. If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, you are not alone. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. It is Friday. You made it. We got here together to the end of a week, and Olivia and I are so thrilled that you are joining us. So, we do the show for you. We are all working on discovering those self-limiting stories that we tell ourselves and releasing ourselves from that. So, if you are joining us live today, please come say hello in the comments. Welcome our guest, Olivia, and let us know that you're here. And then you can put your questions and comments in throughout the show. We are always happy to be in conversation with you. Olivia Fitchett, thank you for saying yes and coming to join us today. Tell everybody who you are.
Oh, hello, Rita. And also, just first of all, before I get to that, I know I said that's right before we went on, but thank you so much for the invite to come on here. I mean, just to be even among the ranks of all the great people that you've had on this show and that I've learned from. What a neat thing to be able to just tell this story with you. So thank you so much for that. But a little bit about me. I'm going to give you the truncated version because Rita knows me and I can just chat until we're done. But the quick of it is I'm from here in Southern Indiana. I went to school here. I went to college here. I moved away briefly, and we're going to get into a little bit of that here in a little bit. Moved a couple places, but I've always been fascinated with public service, and I'm going to give a little bit of a little way right there, but that really started from being at the White House, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But I've translated that heart for public service into a lot of different areas. And one of those areas I'm most passionate about is serving others and helping them to live the life they want to live, to push through boundaries, to be who they're created to be. And I do that through keynotes. So I'm a professional speaker. I'm a speaker coach too, which is super fun. So I get to work.
You've been my speaker coach, Olivia. That's how we first met.
Yeah. And so I love just helping folks find their confidence in whatever they're created to do, created to speak about, whatever their passion is. My heart is just helping people be able to deliver a message. I say it like this. You could, Rita, have the cure for cancer, but if it's not reaching me, if your message isn't reaching the audience that you're in front of, then I might completely miss it. And so you may have something important to share with people. And my job is to just come alongside you and work with you and how you show up to help you feel comfortable and confident on stage. So I also do a lot in the belonging and culture space in the way of mainly keynoting and workshops and trainings and also leadership mindset. So what started off as, years ago at the White House of seeing public service and really getting that up close view of that and helping folks has just kind of turned in, and we'll talk about this too, but has taken a life of its own. And I've really just spent years wiggling into place on how do I continue to live that out. And so that's where I'm at right now is helping.
I love it.
On stage.
And you do help people, and her stage presence is amazing. And if you are booking speakers or you ever see Olivia on the list, this is an event you want to go see her. So Olivia would love to connect with you on LinkedIn if you're a LinkedIn user. So this is her link that I've dropped into the comments for you, how you can find her. And I'll give you her website later in the program. And see, she already has fans in the house. So Penny Boyle and John Greco, thank you for joining us. Glad to have you here with us today. We're going to get right into this. So Olivia's going to premiere a story, which, don't you feel so special? I feel so special. She's premiering a story that she's never really fully told about walking off a college campus and into a position working as an intern in the White House. So with that small introduction, jump in, start telling us about what was happening, Olivia, and that internal narration that was running constantly inside of your head.
Yeah, and what an amazing tee up. And so to get there, I'm going to have to take you back years and years to start, because we know, and if you've hung out with Rita here in this space, this has probably been brought up before, but what you learn early on really develops how you begin to think about the world. And man, did I learn that early. And so I'm going to track you back. And I wanted to say, like, if you know me, I've talked about the White House. You've gotten bits and pieces, but I've actually never been asked to tell the whole story and how, especially mentally, I was able to, and I'm still cracking the truth out, right? We never arrive. Okay. So this is a process, but how that process in the White House has impacted the way I show up in the stories that I tell myself now versus what I was saying to myself before that happened. So, hey, Gary from the UK. Wow, we're international now.
Yes, Gary's a good friend of mine. So hangs out with me on the ledge all the time on Mondays. Anybody's welcome to come join the ledge. Practice your listening and being present skills. It's a great place. Thanks for joining us, Gary. So go ahead, Olivia.
Yeah. So I'll start back when I was young. I mean, to make a long story short, and this would be a whole other podcast, so I'm making this part really short. My twin sister and I, Caroline, her name's Caroline. I can't hardly talk about myself without talking about Caroline, and I always use us when I'm talking about my past. So if I ever use us, I'm talking about my twin sister and I. Yeah, we had a lot of anxiety growing up. There was trauma that we had been through. There were things. And we were kind of kids that you would look at, and we were the happiest little things ever. But as you know, and maybe you've been through seasons like this too, there was much more going under the surface. And we were in some situations that were difficult and that caused us a lot of anxiety, and not just like general whatever. I'm talking about debilitating anxiety that kept us from doing a lot of things that kids our age would do. So this is the foundation we're working off of. For instance, like I didn't sleep over at a friend's house. I was scared to sleep over places and be alone at night and that kind of thing. And I didn't do that until my senior year of high school. I mean, these were things that really kept us from showing up and having experiences as kids that all of our friends were having. There were days where we would make ourselves sick so we didn't have to go to school. We were missing out on very basic, like school, very basic things. We weren't eating for a long time. We would just take like little bites of rice. I mean, our anxiety was completely, life altering and debilitating. And so my mom, I always have to bring up my mom when I tell this story, because she did, a single mom, did an amazing job just trying to navigate what our lives would look like. And there was a period as we were growing up that she recently shared with us in the last couple of years that Rita, she waited till we were in our 30s to say this to us, but there was a period of time where she wondered if we would end up like getting some really intense psychiatric help, and we have to be institutionalized. And like, she was afraid that was kind of a little further down the path. And knowing me now, you wouldn't know that, but there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that caused that. Nothing my mom.
So it's safe to say that you had clinical anxiety.
Oh, I mean, clinical
meaning like if you were assessed by a psychiatrist,
and I was,
for manual, they're going to say clinical, because we talk about anxiety a lot in the culture these days. And I have a child with clinical anxiety, and there is a difference between the anxiety that I have and what she suffered. And so here's how, just to give you an idea, if you're not familiar with this idea of differentiating between general anxiety and clinical anxiety, this is how our therapist described it to me that was so helpful. She said, imagine that you have you have a bunch of pins sticking out of your body like a porcupine.
Mm.
And then somebody comes up behind you and just hugs you as tight as they can. This is what clinical anxiety feels like. It just feels like 1,000 pinpricks of real pain, and that you are experiencing from the external world pushing on you all the time. And that, as a mother, that was very helpful to me to understand what was going on with my daughter. So with that backdrop, let's move forward in the story.
Yeah. I love what you said too. It feels, another way I'll say it, it's like swimming up current, upstream in different areas of your life constantly. It's very different. So that was the base of me and getting in college and doing those things where, everything was a little bit more challenging. And in college there was, I joined a sorority. I that really helped me come out of my shell a bit and really believe in myself, and people came around me and different things. It was great. And so I ended up being a chapter president and finally got my some wind in my sails. And there was this one day where I was a junior and you had to apply for an internship or write a paper to move on to the next phase of college. And I'm like, I don't want to write a big paper. I would like to find an internship. And so there was this listserv that went through the IUS community, and that's where I went to school. And I was like, the White House, how funny. So literally, Rita, with that experience, all those experiences being my backdrop, my lens here was, there's no way that I could ever. There is no way. I can't even spend the night at my friend's house, Rita. This is going to be laughable. So here's what my plan was. And I'm serious. You could call my mom right now and ask her. The plan was I was going to fill out the application to be an intern at the White House. President Obama was going to decide, no, I can't have Olivia working in the White House. He was going to send me a rejection letter. And I was going to frame that thing, and I was going to put it right here on the wall in the office. It was going to be passed down for generations. And that was going to be the laughable thing. Because anybody that knows me knows I have a quote, and Rita, you may like this too, and maybe you have something similar. But I always say, for the story of it all. I
don't have one like that, but I do. I might steal that.
Let's do this. Let's do this just for the story of it all. So I was like, for the story, let's do it. So I started to get further along in the process, and that was crazy. And I had this friend finally come along, and I had to write this essay, and there are these FBI background checks. And my friend, her name is Eliza, and she said, you know what? She had a very serious conversation with me. I'm making it kind of light, but it was pretty serious. She told me, I think it's kind of dumb that you are doing this as a joke, because that's insulting to you. And she was saying, she's an English major. She was like, let me look at your stuff before you turn it in. Let me do this and let me do that. And I'm going to do this with you, and we're going to actually do it. And if
can we just pause for a moment and say, this is real friendship. This is true friendship, right?
Yeah.
This is somebody coming at you with love, but holding up a difficult mirror and saying, stop telling yourself you're not enough for this. So off the bat, you were telling yourself, I never would be enough for this position.
A total joke. It was a total joke. There was not 1 ounce of me that was serious about it. Not even 1 ounce.
Liza saw through all of that and said, girl, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like a sub.
Be that friend. Be Eliza. Be Eliza for somebody in your life.
This is it. And that's a sub point to the whole thing today that I wanted to make is people. If it weren't for Eliza, none of this would happen. None of it. I would have nothing to talk about today, right? Okay, that's a little dramatic, but on this topic, I wouldn't. So if it weren't for Eliza, so Eliza helped me. She came alongside me. All of a sudden, Rita, I forgot about this until my mom reminded me of this recently. We started seeing black SUVs outside of our house.
Oh my gosh.
We were at Easter. I'll never forget. We were at well, no, it wasn't Easter. It was some guy. I think it was Thanksgiving. We were all together. And I was trying to, this was back when you had to log into all the Wi-Fi's whenever your phone, you were at a different house, you know, and you're like,
Right.
and so I was logging on my grandma's Wi-Fi, and in her Wi-Fi like list, you all know, maybe you guys that are logged in, you all know what I'm talking about. You're trying to find which Wi-Fi to log into. One of those choices said Secret Service in all capitals. In other words, and I'll never forget that. I was like, what? So that tells me that they're
scoping you out, girl.
They were
Like,
tapped in. They knew I was at my grandma's, not even my house. And they were tapping into the Wi-Fi to like track what I was doing. Black SUVs everywhere, different. So it was wild. It was wild. So that's how I know, oh crap, like this is actually might happen. Like they probably don't do this to just everybody. I love what Gary said there too. So anyway, we got further and further along, and my mom made a promise. She's like, Livy, if you get this, honey, we'll figure out how to make it work. We didn't have a ton of money. But she said, we're going to figure out how to move you there like all the other Ivy League kids, like these people that's got tons of money in our head. She's like, we'll make it work. And so I'll never forget. I was in the mall, and I was working at the time with an individual I had with me, and I just found a bench because it said conditional acceptance to the White House. And I had to pass the background check, which I'd never even gotten a speeding ticket. So I was like, oh man, we did it. Me and Eliza did it, you know? And, and so I called my mom and I said, are you sitting down? And she said, yeah. And I told her I was going to the White House, and she started crying, and none of us thought it was possible. And so that's kind of the journey to where I can put myself in that spot, in that bench, in this really depressing mall in Louisville. I'm not going to say which one because we've got some Louisvillians here, but it was this really kind of rundown area of the mall. And I'm sitting there on the bench, and I can almost take myself back there to the cogs turning of going, holy crap. We're doing this, and I don't even know. I don't know how this is gonna happen. Like I remember, I was just complete. It was like I'd hit the lottery or something. It was so wild. I've blacked out, I'm sure. It was just wild.
so I mean, I wanted you to go back into that moment. I mean, do you remember? Was your first feeling elation or fear?
Elation, actually. I don't, and it should have been fear, I think. But if I can take myself back there, it wasn't fear. I don't know why. I've never been asked that question, but I remember going, what? And then I think as I started to pack and I started to really do the thing, I had to take a semester off school because there was some weird, and they wouldn't let me stay in school and it was weird. So I had to take a semester off school. And so once I like took that semester off and started packing, I could feel the anxiety building. And then that's where I started to the anxiety really set in. And Rita, mind you, this is 3 years after I'd pretty much had my first sleepover ever. And I still was not psychologically comfortable at night by myself. I've never been outside of Southern Indiana. And for those of you that live around here, we're kind of used to one or two types of people. And that's sort of it. And so I wasn't really, I don't want to generalize there. That may not be your experience, but for me, that was mine. So I want to say that. But,
I think most of us, we would just be like, what do I even wear?
mm-hmm.
Like, do I even have the wardrobe? I mean, I'm like you. I came from a family, we did not have a lot. So
Yeah.
the whole idea of all of a sudden now I'm in like the preeminent place.
Yeah.
In our nation, the White House.
So,
and I got to show up every day. What wardrobe? How do you pack for that? Like, what do you need?
Yeah. So
right.
What? Yeah.
I mean, that alone just me anxiety.
So it was really interesting because at the time, my late stepmother, my mom's wife, who has passed away, she she never had kids of her own. And she was a veterinarian. So she had some money at the time. And I remember, but I wasn't going to ask for anything. I wasn't, but I remember her going like this to me at the family event. And she goes, "Hey," and I was like, "Okay, what?" And she goes, "You and me, we're going to go to the mall. You got $6,000.
Oh, wow.
We didn't use it all, but I mean, she bought me everything from my bag.
Now we have to know, did they send you, like, do you go through etiquette school and do they send you,
No,
like
no,
anything? No, no.
they just roll the dice, man. I mean, and they just roll the dice, and so I don't want to make a political statement here, and this is not what I'm trying to do at all. But I'm just saying, in my experience with the Obama administration, I was not the only kiddo that wasn't from an Ivy League. They did a very nice job of diversifying the intern experience. And so that said, there were very elite individuals there. There were Secret Service granddaughters and different things, right? Like there were people that there were Ivy League, there were Yale, there was but it wasn't all people that. There were also people that were like this at orientation. Like there were those people. And so anyway, yeah, that it was wild. So you just kind of get there. I kind of just assumed I was going to wear pencil skirts, and like a button-up blouse and heels. That's kind of what Rita, I don't know if they sent me anything like that. I don't remember, but that's kind of what I bought. And, yeah, I get there and I remember my mom, really like bawling her eyes out. And my plan was to, this is kind of where we go back to the mindset thing. My plan, the day that my mom left, is in my head. I always have an escape plan, because when I feel anxious, I need to be able to get out. Right. And, my escape plan was literally that. Like, I'm going to be here. I literally thought I'm going to be here for a few weeks. I'm going to start having panic attacks. And so I'm going to have to go home. So, I really got to make the most until that happens. Like I'm not going to last. And I went into it knowing that. So, but I'll jump ahead and say, by the time I left, Rita, I didn't have one panic attack. I was nervous, certainly. Did I set off Secret Service alarms? Absolutely. Did I get in trouble for being in areas I wasn't supposed to be? Absolutely. Did we almost lose the internship for getting yes. So I mean, they were definitely.
You were still sort of the not so smart college kid, and they're probably a little accustomed to that, I guess.
I was not, yeah, and so I want to tell you just maybe a 60-second quick story. There was an area we weren't allowed everywhere. So interns were only allowed certain areas, and my supervisor was only allowed certain areas, and your badge color determined where you were allowed, where you weren't. So I had accidentally gone onto the White House lawn to deliver something to the First Lady's office. And every time I'd been on the White House lawn, I'd had my supervisor with me up until that day. And I was going by myself. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be on the White House lawn by myself. That was a security breach. and I was on the White House lawn. I hear someone yell behind me. Have I told you this story?
No. I'm visualizing this though. What you see in my head is I've got this visual of you in this moment.
So you're facing
like the swarming Secret Service agents. Like
I'm telling you, it's getting there. So like the White House, you're facing it right about here by the West Wing. I hear this voice yell behind me, and he said, "Freeze! Turn around with your hands up." Dude, I'm not kidding you. I dropped the binder I had, and I turn around, and I was like held at gunpoint. There was a gun pointed at me, and he basically was like, "Come in here," and we went into this little area, and he was like, "Who are you? Why are you here?" I tried to explain, "I've been here every day. Like, I don't know what's the problem is." He told me I wasn't allowed on the White House lawn, almost lost my internship, definitely blocked that out of my memory because I didn't even remember it happened until like 3 years after I got home. And I was like, "Oh yeah, a gun was pointed at me," but I guess that's what happens when traumatic things I don't know. It is these wild stories that like, I'm like, did I live through that? Yeah. So there were definitely high anxiety moments, but I remember sitting outside. I lived right across the
I mean,
street.
you would think if something was going to send you into like
Yeah.
clinical panic, right, and anxiety, that might be it
Yeah,
for you,
it wasn't.
right?
Yeah, it wasn't though. I remember one night coming home from the White House late, and I was sitting on the marble. If you've been to DC and you know where the Capitol building is, those big marble walls that are just kind of around it. I remember sitting on there and just looking at the glow of the dome on the top and thinking, thank you, God, for placing me here, and for doing things in and through me that I had no idea I was capable of. And so it became very spiritual too for me. Um, but I felt my mind, the cogs turn, and I went, oh, I don't have to live like I was anymore. I actually can do things. And so after that moment of sitting out there and looking at those domes and the lights just kind of flickering on top, it's a core memory. I still see it. Um, I started viewing my life, I do right now, as not entirely, but when it comes to taking risks and pushing yourself, I look at it like a game. I look at it like I am going to throw my name in the ring. If it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't know I had a seat at the table at the White House, Rita. I had no clue, but I did. And
Mhm.
I only knew that because I was willing to throw my hat in the ring. Or yeah. And just see. And it's that is the I wanna emphasize that because that's where at least in my heart, I feel like I want to leave people as we're on, the back half of this conversation. Um, you don't know what you're capable of because you're only playing the disc in your head that's been playing since 1992 or whenever. That's the only thing because you're human. Like you're human. That's the only lens
Mhm.
you have. And it's okay. That's not wrong. But if you feel, and maybe a lot of us have done inner work and been in places kind of like me. I don't know your story, um but if you're anything like me, it may not be the anxiety that's keeping you back. It might be, but it might not be. What is that thing that is keeping you from putting yourself in a position to try? Is it the
Well,
fear?
and let's talk about, like,
Yeah,
really trying too,
yeah,
because if Eliza had not intervened,
right.
it sounds like your submission might not have been as strong
Absolutely.
as it was, because you were telling yourself the story,
Yeah.
"This isn't for me." I mean, I don't have the inside track. If you don't have an inside track, you're not gonna get something like this. Like, they're not just gonna pick some random girl from
Cornfield.
Indiana to do this, right? I mean, these are right? These are the normal stories when we see big opportunities like
Mhm.
that we think and we tell ourselves. And so and it's the self-fulfilling prophecy thing that
Yes.
happens,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because then when you're completing the paperwork or whatever, you just sort of don't put your best energy and effort into it because you're like, it's not really going to make a difference, but at least I can say I did it and
Yep.
I'm getting this done. And so
Mm.
this idea that we are meant for bigger things than we might not realize,
Oh,
that there are bigger things out there for us than we've given ourselves permission
yeah.
to look for, is
Yeah.
a really beautiful message that you're leaving with us, Olivia, because it is true. We tell ourselves stories based on our experiences
Mm.
of the world around us, of what is the scope in which we get to play. And
Mm.
we so many of us never dream or envision any bigger
Yeah.
than that story
Yeah.
that is limited by the experiences we already know.
Oh, and it absolutely, and it's a gift, right? It's a gift to step into that and say, yeah, I got accepted, and yeah, the thing happened. But the truth is like that's not all the time going to be the story. The real win, and if you're taking anything away, the real win, even if I did not get that internship, was that I threw myself in front of the opportunity. That's the win. And so if you're logging off here and you're going, okay, I'm going to go do the thing. I'm going to be the next CEO or whatever. I'm not saying don't go for, but what I'm saying is the win is believing in yourself that you might have what it takes and that you might have a seat at the table. But if you go ahead and shut that door in front of you before someone shuts it for you, we're all going to miss out. So don't shut your own doors, Don't
yes,
do
and look, go back and listen to the episode with Sabrina earlier in this week because, put yourself in front of that opportunity. And like Olivia said, even if it's not right for you, I mean, sometimes the universe is like, not this one.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean not ever. Not
Absolutely.
now does not mean not ever. And what Sabrina said is, if the seat at that table isn't the right one for you, go create your own table and gather your right people. Right?
Yeah.
So there is this gamifying of our thinking that we need to be able to do. That we talked about, not just thinking about whatever we feel is big, that opportunity, but pushing our boundaries of thinking, letting that open the doorway to bigger and bigger ideas. Right?
And let me say this too. I think you've got to be careful too. There's a balance of let's not take ourselves so seriously. Let's take yourself seriously in the sense of put yourself in that position to do the best you can and get the thing and do the thing. But don't take yourself so seriously to where you if you miss out the opportunity, if it didn't come for you, that you're going, oh man, I'm terrible. Or of course it's not me. It's like Rita said, gamify. Cool. I shot and I missed. That's awesome. Great. I know that's not for me now. Now I don't have to wonder. Okay, let's go and try this. Okay, cool. Working? Awesome. No, it's still great. Let's not. Life's a games. We're all going to be 6 feet under unfinished. You're not going to get to a finish line. So don't think you're
love
going
that. I love that.
Don't think you're going. Don't buy into the lie that I've got to get here and then it's going to be done. No, we're all just playing around here. We're all doing our best, and we're not going to shut the door in front of us. We're not going to do it. So I think that's
we have a few more minutes, and I want to step back into your story just a little bit because I think there might be a little more insight to drill into here. And you said that you got yourself past all of your anxiety to pack up, to travel to DC, to walk into the intern meeting. Yeah. But you were the story you were telling yourself is, anxiety is coming for me. I don't know how long I have.
Yeah.
But I need to really take it in and make the most of whatever time I have before it tsunamis me and I have to bow out and walk away. So how long was the internship? Was it a 3 month, 6?
Yeah,
6
5,
months?
6 months. Yeah.
So, when you started to hit like the 6-week mark, did that story that anxiety is coming for me and I'm going to have to go home, like, did it ever leave you?
I would say it slowly dissipated. It wasn't something that I woke up and, hi, Michaela. It wasn't something that I woke up and I thought, this is no longer a problem. But it was something that I think chipped away every day. And I've always been somebody that's lived and still does live with multiple anxiety disorders that I battle all the time. So I want to say this is still part of the story, is the overcoming is always happening. There's still a part of you that wants to prepare yourself for if that does happen. And if it does come for you, if the tsunami hits. And so you set like an end date. And so I had always been, okay, in May, we're leaving and it's going to be done. Okay, now that's 5 weeks away. Can we do what we just did? 5 weeks passed. Can we do that again? Okay, I think we can do it again. Okay, so there's this constant, I hope that's making sense. There's this constant checking in that happened. Are we okay to do that again? Are we not okay? How are you doing? What's the worst that can happen? So there's these safety reels is what I like to call them, that are just going off in my head where I'm checking boxes all the time. Are you okay? I'm still okay. And, for better or for worse, that was a lot of the narrative. And I just found myself going, okay, put your dukes down. You're okay. We're all right. We're okay. We're still okay. and so it just chipped away a little bit at a time. And boy, I'll never forget the Easter egg roll was, I got to be a part of the Easter egg roll at the White House and the Japanese state arrival. And those things were the last two big events there. And I was cool as a cucumber on the back half because I'd already known the worst part, you learning, you figuring things, that was always at the beginning. So the second half, I kind of just rode the hill down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question a little bit more directly, it was chipped away at. I did not, and I think that's relevant for us today too, is you're not going to wake up and your doubts be just gone. You are going to have to walk it out. And walking it out is extremely uncomfortable sometimes. But that is self-respect. That is taking a chance on yourself. I could have gone home at any moment, just like you could quit the job at any moment, or just like you could whatever at any moment. But the fact that you are taking one step in front of the other, whatever that step looks like, brave. And it's good stuff.
I love that. I love that idea. That walking through the self-doubt is self-respect. The word that was coming to mind for me, Olivia, was faith. You had faith in yourself. You had faith in your ability in doing the check-ins. You had faith in your ability to recognize what your body needed, to honor that, to take care of it. So there is self-respect, self-trust. And I think there's, if you are in a place where you are struggling with your internal story that's telling you you're not good enough for something, you're not the right person, part of the work is this deeper work of really starting to build trust and respect with yourself. And it's so hard for us sometimes to see that or do that work without the right people around us.
Okay, you said two really cool things here. Number one, trusting yourself. So for me, I have faith in myself. I also faith in God is a different kind of faith that I have. And for me and my story, both of those mattered. But when you're talking about trust in yourself, what that looks like is, do I have the tools that I know I've been successful using before? And then the second part over here that you said that I want to touch on is people. I knew that if the bottom fell out, I had people to catch me. And I think that that's important. And I think in a world where we are here, and I love Zoom and I love podcast, I love the thing, but man, if we were sitting at a coffee shop too, people in our communities, and if we're not pouring into that, you're going to take your system out from under you if you're not careful. And if you do, can you stand alone when the bottom falls out?
Right. Yes. Yes. And that fear of failure, that fear, like you walked in not fearing that you might have to leave. It was almost like a fait accompli in your mind. Like, when this happens, that's normal for me, and I just have to, I have to accept it and move on. Whereas so many of us would be like, oh my God, I mean, I'm just going to make such a fool of myself. So all of that, you pre-shame yourself.
Yeah.
You visualize and you pre-shame yourself. Yeah.
And so what? I recently had, not to get into too much, I recently had an experience where anxiety got the best of me. And you know what I had to say? This is hard right now. And so what? So what? It's okay. You're human. You cannot, this is going back to, let's not take ourselves so seriously. You cannot have, I have an anxiety disorder. And I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm using it as a way to understand myself. My brain works differently. Things trigger me that don't trigger other people and different. So just lay yourself down for a minute and give yourself a hug and realize that you are okay. You are okay. And it is okay for you to take a step back or to give in to the self-doubt. It's you're not going to do this perfectly. My encouragement for you would be to take a step further, not jump, but just keep walking it out. Just keep walking. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that analogy. I can really feel that in my bones. This idea of walking it out because otherwise, if you don't choose that, then you allow that self-doubt to own you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's just right. You can run away from it, or you can turn and grasp hands with it and walk through it. Right. I mean, those are really your only options.
And let me say this, you can't fail at being you. You
Mm.
cannot fail at being you. And if you taking a step looks like taking a step back, who cares? Just keep walking. like just keep walking. You can't fail at being you. And if you're always striving to be your best self, and your best self doesn't look like your best self yesterday, and your self-talk doesn't look like your best, strive, but you can't fail at being you. You can't do it. It's impossible.
I want to ask you one final question. I know we're getting lengthy on time, but if you think about that experience and the courage, and courage is not just bravery, it's moving forward despite the fear, right?
Right.
Navigating this entire 6-month opportunity.
Yeah.
But for any of us walking into the White House would just be very overstimulating, and trying to make sure that we're doing all the right things, all of those, and imposter syndrome is just got to be like going off in your head all the time. So when you look at Olivia today, what did you take away from that experience that you utilize? A tool, a mantra, and anything that when you are facing these overwhelming moments of imposter syndrome, you draw upon that enables you to walk yourself back from that a little bit.
Oh my gosh, you asked such beautiful questions. That was beautifully worded. I'm taken back.
Thank you.
I'm gonna shoot from the hip here. I would say, why not me? Why not? Maybe you've heard that. Maybe that feels cliche, but you think about that. Why isn't my name etched on the back of that seat at that table? Who said? Who said? Who said a small town girl with like a minimal, like very average GPA, very average? Who said that I don't belong in the White House? Nobody. Nobody said that. I was saying that. That's something I said. So why not you? Why not you? And so if you're in a situation right now and you're going, I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if why not you? You might be the only thing in the way. Your spot might be cleared. Someone may be holding that seat out open for you, ready to push it in. You will never know. Why not you? So that's what I would say.
I think that's the perfect way to end the show.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, this week when you are facing your challenges and hardships and you're sitting in your self-doubt, we're all going to practice that. Yeah. Why not me? And then come back in the comments and tell us like what happens for you when you do that. Bye, John. Yeah, we're about to close the show. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Thank you, Leslie, for joining us. I'm glad you got to come.
Yeah.
And Michaela, thank you for getting this quote, 6 feet under and unfinished. I'm with you. I love that too. That reminder of if you think this is about when you're perfect enough, it's never going to happen. You're going to go to the grave without that. So you just might as well let that one go right now. And we're going to replace that with why not me?
Why not me? So what if you don't get it? Come on, don't take yourself too seriously. All that.
All right, I'm going to do the quick promos for next week. So we are back with 2 more episodes next week. And the first one is on, let me get to the right week. The first one is coming up on Monday. Andrea Bjorkman, who works with people who are transitioning in the second halves of their lives, so 40 and up, and thinking about the next transition and talking themselves out of it, having a story that they can't start over or make that transition. We're going to talk about that on Monday at 10 a.m. And then Jen Whitmer is going to be with us on Thursday, the 24th at 2 p.m. And she's going to tell her story about how she thought just being a good, dutiful person and following all the rules was all it was going to take, and learning the lesson that sometimes even that is not enough, and you got to put a little bit more of yourself in to really make it shine. And that's going to be a great conversation too. So be sure that you look for those and come back and join us again. Thank you for all of you who joined us in the comments. Thank you, Olivia, for being with us today. It was wonderful to get to share your story. Everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Those of you celebrating Easter, happy Easter this weekend. Thank you for joining us on The Story I'm Telling Myself. If you loved this episode, would you do us a big favor to help us reach a bigger audience? Simply subscribe to The Story I'm Telling Myself podcast and rate this episode and share it with a friend. Thank you for listening.